Go on, go. Let me do it again. Only a little bit quicker. And again. That's quite enough, I think, for me. There we are. Anyway. Maybe it's a good day to drown a few sorrows.
Argentina had Messi, but we had the spirit, and I feel like our spirit will continue in 4 years' time. We did our absolute best. We played so well. It's so unfortunate we've seen this result today.
Did you think Bellingham played well today?
I mean, I feel like I didn't really see him that much.
He played great. He played really well.
Positive.
Tournament's been good. Today was poor. Sat back when we were 1-0 up. It's exactly the same as the 2021 final against Italy.
I'm so grateful for all the boys that united us as a country, more than politicians have in 4 years.
Kobe Mainoo should have played every minute of the tournament. And yeah, we need to have a hard look at ourselves.
I'm still proud of England. Go England!
It ended in Atlanta at 2-1. Anthony Gordon had given England hope in the 55th minute.
Rodgers' cross, Gordon coming in!
A goal that briefly made 50 million people back home believe this was finally going to be the night. The night that ended 58 years of hurt. The night that finally delivered what 3 generations of English football supporters have been waiting for their entire lives. And then Argentina scored twice in the final minutes, and it was over. In living rooms across England, the silence that followed was the particular kind of silence that only football produces. Not the silence of shock exactly. More the silence of people who had briefly allowed themselves to believe, and were now having to put that belief carefully back in its box for another year, for another tournament, for another chance, at a moment that keeps arriving and keeps slipping away. And within minutes of the final whistle, from Kensington Palace, a message arrived, signed simply with a single letter, W. Not a formal palace statement, drafted by communications teams and approved through multiple rounds of review. Not a carefully worded diplomatic response, measured for institutional tone. A message from one football fan to millions of others who were feeling exactly what he was feeling. Gutted. Welcome to the Marquee Report. This is the full story of how Britain reacted to England's World Cup semi-final defeat, and why the way the royal family responded to it said something genuinely important about where the monarchy stands right now. Let's start with William's statement, because the specific words he chose and the specific way he chose to deliver them deserve careful attention. In his full capacity as patron of the Football Association, William wrote that the fight and belief England showed had inspired the entire nation. He called it the most complete England team in a tournament. He told them to hold their heads high, and he signed off as W, a deliberate signal that these were not palace words. These were his words, personal, direct. From a man who has been photographed countless times in the stands at Aston Villa and who has never needed to perform his love of football because it was always genuinely there. The single initial is doing significant work. When palace statements carry full formal attribution, they carry the weight of institution. When they carry a single letter, they carry something different. They carry a person. And the person, a 44-year-old father of 3 who has been seen celebrating Villa goals with the unrestrained joy of someone who has temporarily forgotten every other responsibility in his life, was clearly devastated by what happened in Atlanta. Hold your heads high. That phrase in particular is the one that resonated most widely when the statement began circulating. Because it is not the language of formal congratulation or diplomatic commiseration. It is the language of a teammate, of someone who was in it with them emotionally and is now trying to help them carry what comes next. England's players had delivered what William himself called the most complete team in a tournament. The structure was right. The belief was right. The fight was visible in every match, right up to the moment 2 late goals undid it all. Hold your heads high is the honest assessment of someone who watched the same tournament everyone else watched and arrived at the same conclusion. This squad gave everything. The result was not a failure of effort or character or tactical preparation. It was football doing what football always reserves the right to do, breaking your heart at the last possible moment. Now, let's talk about King Charles, because his reaction to the defeat was delivered in a completely different register and in a completely different setting. And that contrast is the thing that made it land so effectively. Charles was on an engagement at the Hall and Woodhouse Badger Brewery in Blandford, near Poole in Dorset, when the result became part of the national conversation. He was there with Camilla. He was pulling a pint, as one does during a brewery visit, when he looked up and delivered the line that spread across every platform within hours. Maybe it is a good day to drown a few sorrows. No formal statement, no drafted language. Just a 77-year-old king standing at a bar in Dorset, acknowledging in the most human possible way that the nation was in collective mourning, and that sometimes the correct response to collective mourning is to pour yourself something and let it sit. The moment worked for several reasons simultaneously. It was funny in the way that genuinely great comic timing is funny, perfectly calibrated to the moment, with no effort visible. It was relatable, in a way that royal public appearances do not always achieve. A person responding to a real event, in a real way, rather than a managed institutional voice, managing public feeling on behalf of the crown. And it was kind. Not in a grand gesture kind of way. In a small human, this is how we get through things together kind of way. Charles has never needed to perform his humanity at moments like this. He has always found the natural tone of a specific occasion and met it where it is. The brewery line is him at his best in that specific mode. Here is what happened across Britain in the hours following the final whistle, and why it matters beyond any individual royal reaction. England had gone into this tournament with a squad that genuinely felt different from the ones that had preceded it. Not just technically better, though the caliber of players available to the manager represented a generational convergence of talent that has not existed before at this level. Differently configured emotionally, more collective, more comfortable in the belief that winning was not just a fantasy, but a genuine expectation that the group had earned the right to carry. The World Cup semi-final is not the final. But for England, reaching a World Cup semi-final still represents the furthest the men's team has progressed in a major tournament since 1966. Every step beyond the quarter-finals is territory that carries the full weight of all those previous near misses. The penalty shootouts. The golden generation that never quite delivered. The years of genuine quality that somehow never produced the result quality should have produced. Anthony Gordon's 55th minute goal created a moment of genuine belief that this time would be different. When you go ahead in a World Cup semi-final against a team as experienced and as dangerous as Argentina, for a few minutes, the entire country inhabits a version of the future where everything comes together, where the long wait ends, where the hurt becomes history. Argentina ended that. 2 late goals, efficient, clinical, the kind of football that wins World Cups. And then England came home to a country that was processing all of it simultaneously. The official royal family social media account also weighed in. And the specific language chosen is worth examining, because it is different in tone from both William's personal message and Charles's brewery quip. Commiserations to Harry and the team. While you 3 lions may be licking your wounds today, you remain the pride of a nation and will rise again. A photograph of England captain Harry Kane, somberly embracing Jude Bellingham, accompanied the post. 2 of the most recognizable faces in English football. The captain and the heir apparent of the team, holding each other in the specific way that people hold each other when words would be insufficient. The pride of a nation. That phrase is doing the heaviest institutional lifting in the whole reaction. Because that framing is true, England under this manager with this squad has generated genuine national pride, not just national hope. The distinction matters. Hope can be disappointed and leave nothing behind. Pride survives the disappointment and points toward the next attempt. You will rise again. An acknowledgement that what was built in this tournament, the belief, the structure, the collective identity, is not dismantled by one 2-1 loss in a semi-final. That the foundation exists, that the next tournament inherits what this one built. Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer's response added a political dimension to the royal reactions, and the timing of his statement was notable given the context in which it arrived. His final Prime Minister's questions appearance before the summer recess had apparently included multiple references to England's nervous build-up to the match. Football had been part of the political conversation all week. The tournament was not just a sporting event, it was a national mood, something that had shifted the emotional texture of daily life in Britain in the way only football at this level can manage. Tonight wasn't the result we all hoped for, but this England team has given it their all. He also said the passion and energy they showed, representing the badge, had made the whole country proud. Representing the badge. That phrase is specifically chosen and specifically meaningful within football culture. The England badge is not just a team crest, it is a responsibility. A weight carried by every player who puts on that shirt in front of a global audience that includes millions of people at home who cannot be there but are absolutely present through every minute of every match. This squad represented the badge with something that has not always been visible in previous England tournaments. A sense of collective investment. A belief that felt genuine rather than managed. Players who appeared to genuinely want to be there. Not performing national pride, but actually experiencing it. Here is where everything lands after England's departure from this World Cup. Argentina will face Spain in the final. England is out. The hurt continues. And William, patron of the Football Association, signed off his personal message with a single W and told a squad he has watched all tournament long that they are the most complete England team he has ever seen compete. That assessment is not consolation. It is an honest reading of what happened over the course of a tournament where England delivered performance after performance that justified real belief. The result in Atlanta was not the story of an inadequate team. It was the story of a very good team meeting an excellent one at the worst possible moment. Hold your heads high. Charles drowns a few sorrows at a Dorset brewery. The royal family posts Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham holding each other in the rain. The nation absorbs it, files it alongside all the previous absorptions, and waits. That is what English football does. It produces enough to make you believe, not quite enough to let you stop believing something different might still be possible. And so the believing continues, into the next qualifier, the next group stage, the next quarterfinal, the next semi-final, the most complete England team in a tournament. Hold your heads high. See you at the next one. This has been the Marquee Report. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss what comes next. See you on the next one.